Hello, my name is Gordon, and this is my review of the Adidas skipping rope. First off, a little profile about me and why I purchased the skipping rope. One, as you can see, I'm no spring chicken, a 60-year-old guy, and the whole idea was to loosen up the tendons and the ligaments. I wasn't really concerned about cardiovascular issues. And I already had an exercise routine going, so I really didn't start from scratch. I chose the skipping rope because I thought it was better than running and better than riding a bicycle for exercise. In a nutshell, there's no excuse not to get your daily exercise in with the rope. Despite weather conditions, you could always just practice on the porch, or when the weather conditions are good, practice outside. You don't have to drive to a gym, and as far as motivation goes, it's basically up to you, and there's really no excuse not to get your practice in. The Adidas rope was the second rope that I bought, and probably I like it a little bit better than the first one I bought, and I'll give you the reasons why. First of all, I'll describe the rope a little bit. Unlike it says on Amazon, there are no padded handles. This is pretty much hard plastic, so there's no padding whatsoever. But it's really not all that necessary, unless you really work up a sweat and then the handles themselves start getting a little bit slippery. But that's another thing. The rope itself, the length of it is very, very, very easily adjustable. Anybody can do it. It's just a matter of, here's the end of the rope here, you push up, and it's like looped around like so, and you want to make it longer, just pull this other side and you make it longer. Fairly simple, nothing much to it. Another kind of neat thing about it is that it rotates on this, the handles rotate on that. And that's kind of nice too, because what that does is to, as you're skipping, the rope itself has a tendency not to kink up or something like that, and when you're done with it, it basically ends up in the same position like this, and it's not all knotted up and kinked up and what have you. And that's kind of a nice feature possible with this rotating handle, and it rotates on this side too, so it's kind of like a neat feature of the Adidas jumping rope. The rope itself is heavy plastic, and it's heavier than the first rope that I bought. And that has a benefit as well, whereas it's it very easily goes over when you're jumping. I guess the weight of the rope itself helps the momentum to swing around, so it swings around a whole lot easier, unlike a rope that's very, very light material. With the light material, it takes more effort to whip it, and that has its own benefits and it has its own problems too. I find it's easier to jump with the heavier rope just because the momentum of the rope itself helps it to go around, whereas with the lighter rope you got to whip it harder, and it's a little bit more difficult to get those skips in. It seems like with the heavier rope too, that as you're jumping, it takes fewer jumps per minute as it would with a lighter rope. So with the heavier rope, I might have like 120 jumps a minute, but with a lighter rope, to get that same minute in, it might take 100 and maybe 140 reps to get that same minute in. So you're kind of like jumping less with the heavier material than you are with the lighter rope material. I would recommend the heavier material, and it's less frustrating. You still get your reps in, and still accomplish the cardiovascular as well. Another neat thing about this Adidas skipping rope is that concerning the material, is that the thicker the material, the more of a sound it makes while you're whipping it through the air. So you get this whoosh, 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 whoosh sound with the thicker material. It's a louder sound. Whereas with this thinner material, you don't get that same kind of whoosh. Yeah, if you're into just the sound of things anyhow. But that's another characteristic of the thicker versus thinner material. Since I am just a beginner, I've been making really good progress with this heavy material, and it's really improved range of motion and a lot of other things. So I'd recommend this Adidas skipping rope. It's the bomb. Go for it. You won't be sorry.